Alright, how about we start some musica and then grab your coffee and let's jump into our bi-weeklies for the rest of the Cancer season. So let's go. Where is this volume? Why is this so low? Let's do something louder so you can hear it. Hello, hello, hello. Hello to everybody. Hopefully you guys had beautiful 2 weeks and hopefully it's much better with summer and with being less restricted with all these viruses flying around. So I think we have 1 month of enjoyment before the second wave comes through. So I'm back. And so let's do it. Like, this rain is better than it was, believe me, last 2 weeks. It's almost like you're like imprisoned anyway because of the heat. You cannot go anywhere. So this is perfect music to watch all the birds in my garden. Yeah, it's very happy music. That's why I kind of like selected it. When I heard it, I said, this sounds really, really great. Nice to see you guys. Hi Sally, hi Chris. Of course Barbie is here. Hey for Barbie. So I'm sorry, I kind of like have this throat things, and I hope it's not going to be a big deal for you, but from time to time, like, I'll have to cough. No, it's not coronavirus, it's allergy. So I'm still kind of like dealing with it. So Cancer is first, but as you've probably seen, those of you who came like when I was kind of trying to shuffle, this one jumped out. So that's going to be the second after we do 59 degrees. What? Oh my God! Like, I mean, so what happened here? Like we have turning tropical, and yet we have spring always starting, or rather to say, yeah, spring starting so late. So that's not fun. This is really, really hard. Trust me. You go out, you just cannot breathe. It feels like you're like in block with some kind of plexiglass that you have to kind of like chew in it. So that's kind of how it does. So, without further ado, Cancers, happy birthday! How are you guys doing? Are you doing okay? So this is basically the time for these goals for setting up. It's also Mercury retrograde. One more day. It might still be some kind of like ripple effect in the next 3 weeks, but it's finally over. So the engines will start to work, computers will start to work. I don't know if you noticed, Amazon was down, even Google search was down. So hello, Mercury retrograde. So let's see. So that's going to be my Cancers to kind of like say goodbye to this year's retrogrades and to this year's new moon and to this year's celebration. So you're getting childhood and innocence. Well, that kind of like doesn't really surprise me very much that this is coming for you, because there's like something about your sign that you are always kind of like retracting in the past, just like a crab kind of like retracts. So this really tells me that maybe during your birthdays you're more kind of like intuitive, you're more going down into, let's say, insight. So you also have, what did I, wait a minute, did I shuffle this properly? I don't think I did, but I have to go with what I have. You have Seven of Pentacles reversed, you have the World reversed, and you have Nine of Swords. So I think this kind of tell me about some kind of like melancholy. Maybe you're in a state where you're thinking how the past was nice, and that's kind of like where you sometimes reside. This is your safe space, right? This is not your panic room. You kind of like going there because it makes you feel comfortable. It's almost like the baby with a sucker, right? Kind of like it's going further. Also, kind of what I like, it's almost from the heavens. It's coming down, this light, and this is the time when you don't have any schemings or kind of who's doing what. It's the worst thing that can happen is like, oh, somebody so and so took my doll or my ball, kind of a thing, right? So what is innocence? Innocence, yeah, sure, like we don't have that aggression, we don't have strategy, it's not also about lack of guilt or lack of shame, but that's sort of like something about just equality in itself, and that's something that we come into this world with, right? And it's kind of like building block. Hello, yes, I don't know if you heard me. I was asking Madame to show up her furry butt as appearance of actress Sapphie. So this is also telling me that, you know, now you have to figure out, and maybe that's what you are going to be looking into, what happened, right? So this is like the stage where we headed. So what basically further shaped your personality and what shaped your character, right? So maybe you encounter moments that have been some kind of disappointment and loss. Maybe you're looking down at the moments that have been, let's say, something unfinished. Some of you have been dealing with earth signs. Some of you have been dealing with air signs. That's some kind of like puzzle that has been left for you. But it's also showing up with something very specific, something very karmic for you. Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius. There is some kind of like match. There is some kind of connection, right? So in spite of all of this, guys, some kind of like worries that are maybe generated out of it, because there is like a sense that you feel that something has finished or should be finished, or you wanted to finish, or somebody else wants to finish, but you are not done with that, at least not emotionally, because there was like something about a situation, and this might be completely quote unquote, let's call it fictional situation, where you're going back in the past where you maybe idolize somebody, or maybe you idolize a situation. Hey Sag, thank you so much. So maybe this is something happening where you kind of like go and kind of like now you retrieve these memories and saying, wait a minute, I still have to go there, I still have to explore it, I still owe it to myself. So it is really, really important, because I can see here that something hasn't been built. I can see here that you feel still connection, right? And that kind of bothers you, so you're not sure why things are not kind of like done and over with. So let's see here, let's see. Perfect timing, and just says my cat jump on me at the same time. Oh, that's so cute. And you're getting expectancy, and look at, there is like this gift over here. I wonder if you guys are still having some kind of contact. I mean, there is a connection, but I'm wondering if there is like some kind of contact, because this clearly tells me that there are like two parties to this game, and there is like a tension in the middle. There is like something that is unknown, but almost like certain things are not ready to come to the surface yet. There is something that is going, so no, you're not crazy, and you know you shouldn't be maybe even thinking, oh, I should do something going forward, or I should just like do nothing, just or I should kind of like just withdraw. Like that shows emotional engagement. This really kind of like goes back to, look, no expectations, no big plans, just enjoy day per day. And that is what is the best path forward, because something for you guys is brewing in the background, and because it is brewing, you just need to wait for that stuff to come, to kind of like happen. And during these 2 weeks you can work on it, so don't allow yourself that this kind of like birthday time is kind of tainted with something that you feel that you didn't accomplish, with something that you feel, oh my goodness, you know, I have to do it this way, that way. No, just one day at a time. Enjoy it the most you can. Try to be as candid as you can be. Try to wear your emotions on a sleeve. That's what innocence really is. Alrighty, so let's see, who was the one who wanted to be read before anybody else? Pisces. Alrighty, so let's put Pisces over here. Pisces. Let's see, Pisces. Well, Sag, we didn't see you in a while. Good to see you back here. So cute. So, let's see. Sweet Pisces. Mind you, Pisces are not so sweet when you tick them off. Try to see them being ticked off. So let me have a sip of my coffee. Okay. We have Green Man and we have Synergy. Then we have Eight of Pentacles reversed. We have Two of Swords, and we have the Moon. I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing how always for you guys we get something really complex, right? It's really making my my head spin around to kind of like see, okay, what the heck this really means for the Pisces. So Green Man, and I don't know if you can see these like two big eyes kind of like peeking through over here. It's kind of like the concept, right? It has lots of variations, right? So I think the Karma tarot deck, it also has this for the World card, right? So this is kind of like representative of a planned kingdom, and that's talking about the synergy, I believe, that is required for Gaia to maintain that balance, right, among the beings on this planet, right? So this is telling me that you do have advantage, so you need to kind of like work on it. But whenever you have advantage, it's balance. This is also about balance, right? This is also about maybe kind of like putting the finishing touches of it, right? So maybe in order to do the balance, maybe you need to take a step back, right? So it's kind of like a flow of life. It's really guiding you, and you really need to trust. You need to kind of trust, because look, the kitty is walking this tightrope and she's blindfolded. So also you have the star underneath over here. This is simply kind of like believe that certain things will hold, because it sounds to me that maybe you have been building something, and some of you, this is like clearly talking about relationships or something that maybe for some reason or another either fizzled away, or it doesn't feel as romantic, and because it doesn't feel as romantic, you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is kind of going away, right? So there is like this kind of life force over here that is continuously coming into balance, right? And it's kind of like nature that is stepping in at this stage. So you need to understand, how we have these cycles, and and we are part of this bigger picture. You just need to understand that, very much like what I see in Cancer, is that things are moving forward, things are happening, right? And it's called also synergy between your spiritual awareness and your personal self or ego, right? Because that's what we see in the moon card. That's why we have in this particular thing doggy and kitty, sort of like spiritual. And why is this like it's again crooked? Sort of like a spiritual versus very kind of like grounded thing. So this is really telling you that you really need to kind of like come out with all the energy, with all the intuition, right? Because your higher self is always looking for your best interest. So in this cycle of these 2 weeks, you need to kind of like tune into that guidance, right? And you're going to find that you will move through life with really, really ease. And there are lots of kind of like these forces that will be expressed in this period of time. It might feel a little bit counterintuitive, because it's going to feel like that you have been already building something, but you need to remember that you have been building that possibly during Mercury retrograde, and now this kind of like needs to be reshifted, rescheduled, or done something like that. So let's see. I like your little fishy over here. Irresponsibility. Isn't this like Two of Wands, where you're holding this world in your hands, where you're planning? So like you see, that's that kind of like indecision that might feel a little bit, you might feel insecure. Should I do that? Is this the best way to go? Don't spend too much time in your head. You need to spend time in your intuition. You actually will have the answer coming to you. It's already done. It's predestined. You're having the major arcana over here. So I would not fret very much if I were you guys. It's all good. So enjoy this connection. This also means that possibly outside, on your walks, sitting somewhere on the bench, sitting in your garden, you will get the answer. So if you have a question, that is some kind of doubt, it's kind of a battle between your head and your heart, you're going to get it there. So you're going to get it through your head, but it's going to speak from your heart. So that's going to be a really, really good time to kind of like realize that. So let me see who is next. The next, ooh, did I get one or two? I got one. And it's Taurus. Okay, Mrs. Taurus. Let me write you in here. So Taurus. Ooh, you got two. You got ancestors and you got ocean. Ancestors and ocean, generations. Holy moly, Taurus. You're getting lots and lots of messages. You're getting Six of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Four of Cups, Eight of Swords reversed, and Five of Swords. It's almost like telling me there's like some kind of passage of time. That maybe there's like some level of, let's say, disenchantment over something. Ancestors is extremely powerful card, right? So just imagine how many people have been before us in order to basically become who we are. Who was at very, very first seed going back, right? It's hundreds or thousands of years, right? So we are connected to our ancestors both genetically and spiritually. So this is really, really important, because it's going to, and for you this is really important, your earth sign. You're connecting with them either in a good way or in a bad way, either with decision I'm not going to do it is like my old man did it, or I am continuing this legacy, that kind of stuff, right? So I really think that this is really telling me that, um, also before I get to that, right? So in many indigenous cultures, it's believed that the essence of your ancestors, that's kind of like that a snake going on, and this is like that Kundalini energy is also talking about this coral snake that is really coming up, and that's really talking about your spiritual genetic kind of like a thing. So in this indigenous cultures, it's believed that kind of like the very core of your ancestors inhabits many of physical aspects of the land, right? So trees, water, animal stones, and even basically the dirt and the sand, right, that we kind of like walk on. So this is really kind of like talking to you to open to your ancestors. Be grateful, even if you felt that maybe they didn't really contribute to your well-being, but that means that they have been steering you away towards certain level of karma that you really needed to accomplish, right? So it is really important to understand the connection with the past over here. And I really think that you maybe have been going through some kind of like Mercury retrograde, let's say, reset over here, because then right after that you have the ocean, ebb and flow. And to me, ocean is very similar. It kind of like talks about the things are same but not the same. It's never going to be the same, like, they say never step in the same river twice, but it's probably the same thing with the ocean, right? So it is something about emotions, it is something about connection, something about, even possibly being obsessed with something, but try not to allow certain moods to take you over, right? Because there will be certain things that are beyond your understandings. There is like this pull of the moon, and that's where the emotions are coming through. Some of you are feeling stuck, or somebody have been with somebody or hoping for somebody to contact them, and that didn't happen. It kind of like feels for some of you that, and this is the earthy element, right? So you have to fight your own earth element, because earth element is right now saying, I need to do it things like, you have the strategy, I need to do things this way, I need to continue with this, right? Because I have tried and I have given and I have been generous, and what did that get me? Some of you are going through that ebb and flow, but also feeling kind of like a little bit, kind of like how do you kind of like minimize the intensity of that, right? How do you do it? Like, the problem is here that I see that some of you, actually most of you, will be keeping them inside, because the whole message that I'm getting here is to express them. So be really careful how you do that, because you're getting this Five of Swords to kind of like give me that indication. Five of Swords is about, I have to do something to validate me, right? Because we can see the kitty completely mesmerized, but then his or her own whatever greatness, where the other kitties are just in shame or in defeat, walking away. If there is no win-win situation, that's not going to be positively resolved, because something has to come out. Something cannot be hidden anymore. Something has to go forward. So just keep this in mind, right? And the angel card, as I said, it's simply simplicity. I'm already seeing the flavor that we are having for these 2 weeks. It's going to be very much be in touch with nature, be in touch with your own emotions. Don't overdo it. Just take one day at a time, and don't allow the ego to come in a way. And this is like clearly also a message for you. So don't make it complicated, actually keep it simple. Stupid is really one of the most difficult things, right? I have to tell you, when I was a designer, like, you start with a really, really complex concept and everything, and then you keep simplifying. And then people who are not really apt at it, they look at it like, well, I can do it. Yeah, but the whole thought that came through it, that you're able to simplify it, was not easy. So you need to try it to kind of like understand it more. Alrighty, so that was Taurus. Let's see, who do we get next? The next one is Gemini. All right. Gemini. All right. let's see what we get here for you. Ooh, you already have something jumping. You have Gaia. We have Green Man. We have Gaia. We have Ebb and Flow. Let's see. So it's not like concepts like dancing or nurturing or volcano. It's really kind of like talking about embracing a bigger picture over here. This is like nurturing, and this nurturing comes through various avenues, and it's not necessarily just nurture the close ones, but nurture the planet, nurture things that are happening. Ooh, you're getting the stars, you're getting the Eight of Pentacles, and you're getting your own card, the Lovers. This is very positive, guys. You're going to be intellectualizing the process over here, clearly, right? I mean, air sign over here. It is really talking about you want to finish something. Something was going forward. Something has been going on for a while. Maybe you have to ask yourself what you have been doing for the last 8 months. Like numbers 8 are coming through here. 8s are about hope. 8s are about commitment. Maybe you're revisiting something that you put on the back shelf. Just think about what you did in the last December. What were your hopes for this year? What you wanted to do? Maybe you have to undust, clean the dust from that old plans that you kind of like put aside, right? So Gaia is like that, you know, goddess, the mother and wife of Uranus, of heaven, right? If you think about it, right? It's kind of like what gives us life, what gives us this major nurturing, no matter who, you know how I think Taurus had ancestors, right? But here is like, look, never mind ancestors, I am your ancestors. I'm ancestors to everybody, right? So it's kind of like about receiving, because it's called nurturing, right? It's kind of like being humble, having an open heart, and that's also what happens with this kind of like air element over here. So allow others to give it to you, allow others to return faith, return kind of like hope, return like this kind of like walk away from the tunnel or from the darkness, which could have been for some of you. One way to achieve that nurturing is to nurture yourself. So, you know, go to spa, go and swim, go and get your nails done, get it done yourself, kind of like create a really nice bed. Like, I mean, there is like really that pampering and nurturing thing that is really, really important over here, because that is going to start the process for you. You will start you know, going in a direction. That's why you have the Lovers, your card. You're coming through as you will have better quality choices. Or if you're asking about a partner of some sort coming your way, it's going to be positive because your energy will shift. You know, like, I mean, how magnets either repel or attract each other. It's very similar to our energies, and that's what they say, like, you have to change your energy to attract more money, to attract partner, to attract job. And it's really hard because if you're panicky, you want to get a job, you want to get a partner, something is indefinite, it's uncertain, that's when kind of like we mess up, because that vibration cannot attract, right? That the vibration is maybe even between these two poles. So it's very important, because here there is the shift to positivity. It's almost like you're saying, que sera, sera, you know, whatever happens is going to happen, and finally you're putting one foot in front of another, because that's what Eight of Pentacles does, and you're moving forward. Choices are there, things are coming your way, and it's almost like a big celebration, right? So Fern, we are on Gemini, and there it is. Love is in the air, guys, for you. So something is turning around, somebody is showing what they need to show, you are coming to the table, you are believing in the concept, and guys, oh my gosh, celebrate. What can I tell you? It's all good. It's all actually lovely, more than good. How jealous everybody is that you got this card. So who is next? Who is next? Thank you, Sally. Like a sip of coffee. This is Scorpio. Scorpio is next. Oh, the This one wants to come out. Ceremony. Well, of course it's coming for Scorpio. Like you have, whether or not you guys understand, you have, your whole life is some kind of ritual. Your whole life is kind of like connecting with all of kind of different aspects of life. I'll get to this card. It's one of more powerful cards, but this is the first one that kind of like goes out. You see, so far we had Earth, but now you're connecting to those Earth forces. You're saying, okay, you know, what do I need? Which one is lacking? It's almost like we have these 4 buckets, right? We have passion, fire, we have thoughts, right? Swords, we have Earth, right? Pentacles, like it's kind of like what we kind of like do, like a baking of food and things that we do. We have water, it's a nourishment, right? And now it's kind of like which bucket is empty, which bucket kind of like needs to be replenished, that you're really looking into that. So you have the hanged cat or hangman reversed, which is the empty bucket, and then you have the Knight of Swords reversed, Knight of Wands reversed, and then you have the Fool over here. So clearly, like you're looking into things, and look at her over here. She has, and I believe it was a coil snake. Yeah, there is like a coiled snake. She has crystals. She has fires, right? There is the brick over here. There are crystals hanging. So there are a whole bunch of things here. So you're bringing different aspects of, I would say, what you did so far spiritually forward, right? So in these kind of like sacred ceremonies is like we have these opportunities to connect with that source. And so you're not just happy enough to, sure, let's water the garden, right? Let's kind of like do that. Where is that connection with the nature? You want to experience the divine. So you'll be using any crystals that you have at home, or maybe you're going to create some representation of these 4 elements to create your own, I guess, altar, right? Because in this image, this woman is kneeling before this, and kind of like light seems to be emanating from her hands. That's kind of like Reiki that is really, really happening, right? So whatever it was over here for you guys, because remember that I said the empty buckets, it could have been that you felt some kind of indifference, that you felt depression, that you felt it was some kind of life crisis. Maybe there was like some kind of people who just come in and out of your life. Maybe you feel stuck in which kind of like direction to go, right? So there is like some intimacy that you want to feel, and there is like the intimacy that you really want to evoke, right? So it is very important for you. The spirituality will be very important for you. That's why you're getting the Fool over here, right? So you'll be setting your own altar, wherever it is convenient. Maybe in your usual living space. Maybe you'll just go into nature. You're going to bring, you know, a candle. You're going to, or maybe you're going to set a fire. You're going to have some kind of like stones that you picked around. You're going to have, you know, sitting next to the river to have like this water, right? And the air is going to be showing this breeze, so that's all it takes. You don't have to go really, really fancy buying this, or you're going to have just like simply a plate with all these 4 elements, with a little bit incense for fire, right? And air. So it's really not that hard. So it's going to be kind of like something that is sacred for you, something that you're really connecting to you. And then you're going to do an invocation. So whether or not it's going to be through ceremony that you're doing this, officially like this, and or it's going to be something that you're going to evoke that is going to have these ceremonial elements. You might be just walking by this river with somebody who's setting a fire, and it's going to be an idea that comes through, and it's going to happen because you kind of like set your intention, right? So your presence is going to be really important because you'll be getting, let's say, into the next phase. You are shedding certain things that are no longer needed, that are no longer something that is useful in your life. And this is really good. So you, which sign I was telling this about, this vibration, you just cannot attract. It's just not going to stick if there is like not enough energy in there. So you're saying, and you kind of have that awareness. I don't want this old energy. I'm shedding this. I'm letting it go. And it could be that you're even letting go a partner with somebody with whom it has been for a while, maybe back and forth. When the hangman comes reversed, it is always talking about a person who or somebody who needs to create certain sacrifice, somebody who needs to change. I don't know if you guys watched that series Money Heist, and it was a scene when Denver is creating a situation where he's kind of like behaving like Neanderthal, and so he thinks that he can make up to his girlfriend with just giving her a present, right? And a little bit more experienced man is telling him, no, that's not going to do. You really need to do something much bigger. He goes, well, what do I need to buy? He said, you need to change. So that is really important. There is like kind of like this understanding, but this person is not changing. Hi, sweetie. This person is just saying all the right things, so you cannot really debate them, but you feel it. It's kind of like, it's a very distinctive energy change between sometimes just kind of like doing it, but you know on a big level things are not done. For example, I mean, to use a drastic example, that somebody is, let's say, a drug addict, and they know they need to change. You know they need to change, and you have tried everything from being supportive to suggesting therapy to suggesting kind of like, rehab, and maybe they don't do it around you, but you know that situation is present, and they keep saying they're doing that, and you know they haven't done it. So that's something like here that is being experienced. You want to pull a card? You want to pull a card? Huh? Which one? No, you don't want to pull a card today? You want to be petted? Oh, well, can we wait for later? Integrity. And I think this is like a little bit about you. Maybe you feel, I don't really feel that you kind of like, you kind of have the sense of that your integrity is jeopardized. I more feel that you feel that some forces are dragging you down, that certain person keeps doing over and over and over the same thing, and you're kind of like simply tired of that. And maybe this person is also coming in and out of your life because they just cannot stick around for too long because of the issues that are happening. In any case, you are setting foot going forward. You're having these big goals. Look at the kitty. You're saying, okay, I'm here, but I want to be pampered. I want to have everything. You're setting big goals, big pictures. So just think big and things will happen. And now, Sapphie is sitting on my little kind of like chart over here. Right, Sapphie girl? Right, Sapphie girl? Huh? Hi, Sapphie girl? You have to go on the camera. Are you shy? What happened? All right, let's go next one. Oh, Sapphie, you want to pull one? You want to pull one? I don't know if you can see her. She is in the neighborhood. Did something come out? No? You want to pull one? Which one? Which one? Which one do you want? Which one do you want? Which one do you want? Can I pull one? Can I pull one? I pull one. And the one that I got is Capricorn. Isn't this more fair, guys? Coming out with this kind of like pull out, so we just all get a little bit surprised. It's just a little bit of interest, I guess, in the regularly kind of like let's go with the process thing. So Capricorn, Sapphie, let's see Capricorn. Do you love Capricorns? Not very much? Why? What? What? Do you like Taurus? Matrix is Taurus. Do you like Scorpio? Tiger is Scorpio. Why not Capricorn? What did they do to you? Somebody is in a crappy mood. It's possibly this whole weather that we have outside, but I'm so glad that we don't have that heat. Capricorn, this one came out fairies, and again we are going back to that earth magic. There is a little forest. It's called park, but it's really forest. It's minimal. You can literally walk through that in 20 minutes. It's kind of patch of basically trees, where the school in the area kind of like brings kids with this project, and they leave whole bunch of these little kind of like houses and messages for fairies. So when you walk through it, it's almost like enchanted forest. You kind of have all kinds of stuff, and it's almost like Stranger Things kind of like a place where you have these hollow trees with their own histories. And also the whole place is very kind of like sacred because it's called Baby Point. I mean, you can look it up. It's where the Indians used to live, and it's almost like on a little kind of elevation. And lots of people have died trying to probably go to the village that was on the top, until of course the French didn't show up and conquered. And kind of like you can kind of like feel the destiny, you can kind of like feel things happening. So Capricorn, you have a big reading. Your fairies are here, your fairies are active. The world is really telling me that there's like something happening over here. Like, I mean, who was before that we had this kind of process going, right, from the Fool to this, but this is like a new cycle happening. Something is accomplished, something that you really yearned and wanted. Look at this. Oh my gosh, I just can't believe this. So you have the World, you have Four of Cups, you have the High Priestess, you have Ten of Swords, you have Seven of Cups reversed, Five of Cups reversed, and then you have Nine of Wands and Knight of Wands and Four of Wands. So you'll be going through, you will start a new phase. And this in new phase, what you want right now, you want to feel firm, you want to feel secure, you want to feel in control. But at the same time, you don't have high enthusiasm to do that. You're kind of saying to yourself, yeah, I know I want to because that's the programming of an earth sign. But there is like also something bigger that is happening. Look at these two majors that you have. You have the World and you have the High Priestess. There is like this new process. It's kind of like it's going to feel maybe in the first week of these 2 weeks that you're feeling a little bit stuck. But you're actually not stuck. You are redefining your goals. You're redefining what is doable. So it's almost like a clean slate. You know how they say we kind of like oral cells are different like every 4 to 7 years, right? But they are not all changing exactly at the same time. So that's what's going to be happening for you in the first week, that you have to come up with a decision. What are you leaving behind? And that's possible why this Ten of Swords is happening. Maybe during this Mercury retrograde you had certain things and certain emotions coming to the surface, and it kind of like maybe did a little kind of like number on you. Maybe you messed you up. But coming to this kind of like new idea that you're not going to be crying over spilled milk, that you have to kind of like jump into action, is going to be very, very important, right? Because when the Fairies card shows up, it's generally telling you that you have the same power available to you as the fairies do. It kind of like starts with loving Earth. Hey, Earth sign, the World, you're getting that Gaia over here through that, right? So look at the cups that you have. Look at the emotional impact over here on you, right? Because these kind of like fairies, which is kind of like talking about is gratitude and appreciation, right? They can help you connect, right? And it is your willingness to pay really attention and to demonstrate your care. Maybe you feel that you have shown the care and it didn't come back. So it's kind of going to kind of like go back to you being attentive. This can also literally mean a picnic. I'm really honest with you. Maybe it feels that somebody or something has been in and out of your life. Maybe it feels that you felt disappointment or even sadness over somebody who was lost. This also could mean somebody is returning back in your life, somebody who had hurt you, somebody with whom you had, I would not say clash, because I don't necessarily see this in anger, but I do see that some words have been exchanged that create silence after that. So maybe you're just simply processing and thinking about that, but then something comes through where you are jumping in action, you're jumping in motion, and something is going. Like, I mean, this is amazing. This should be a monthly reading, really, but it is something really important message that you're going. So yes, adventure. This Knight of Wands is adventure. This also could mean Sagittarius showing up in your life, right? So you might have the fixed signs as well. So Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus as well. I mean, this is connecting with the moon cycles, the kind of like understanding. Not much is spoken over here in the first week. Almost like you're turning a little bit in, you're turning silent, but then holy moly, by the time that we start going toward Leo, well, I would say from the 20th on, you are a completely different person. All of these things is just gone. You're going feeling powerful, you're feeling connected, and it's probably even a reunion with somebody. And that reunion, if it is reunion, if it is not completely new energy that is coming through, it might even take you a further level. So you might just realize, well, this is it, this is the one, we need to move forward, this is what was holding us back, and it is time. So I guess it is time for you guys to rejoice, guys. And it will be really, really good to hear, because this is really, really lovely. I think Gemini had love, you have love. You have, as I said, really few signs coming through very, very strongly for you. So Barbie is saying it is a time for doors. All right, let's do that. And let me just hide this for a while. So you guys think of the question for yourself. And so what do I do? Let me take Lenormand for this, just to be a little bit different. A sip of coffee. So think of a question. Just focus on a question as I'm shuffling. Focus, focus, focus. I'm going to draw 3 cards, 3 doors. Okay, the first one is out. The second one is out. And the third one is out. So now you have to think, do you want a left, do you want a center, or do you want a right one to basically give you the solution, or give you the path. All right, so let's go. All right, Sally, it was really nice to see you. Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll see you later. Hey, Knitting Yogi, nice to see you. No problem. So if you thought about the door on the left, you have the book reversed. This really talks about trying to get some kind of understanding. Book is connecting with secrets. Book is connecting with kind of like something that still needs to come forward. And I guess this is the unknown that you even ask about it. So whatever it was hidden, whatever kind of answers are needed, they are going to come to the surface. This card doesn't mean necessarily positive answer for you, but it means at least it's going to be some kind of clarity, which is going to allow you to maybe redefine your question and to move forward. So the door number 2 is the Whip and the Gentleman. This can mean 2 things. So clearly there is a man that is somehow involved in this decision or in this question. Whip can mean 2 things. Whip can mean arguments, of course. You crack the whip and the dust kind of like comes up, right? Which means that some old issues are important to be brought up. But whip also could mean passion, huge passion of some sort that is coming through. So maybe something is re-engaging, maybe something is happening. Well, anger and passion is basically they go hand in hand. Maybe from anger it's going to go to passion, kind of like makeup thing. So I would say this is a yes, but I would say it's going to be really, really intense to kind of like get there, right? And the last one is the Lady Reversed, and that's really interesting. Either there is like a woman that is a part of this equation in this question, or you're not really certain. You really want something, but either you don't believe in that, or you're not certain that this is really good for you. So I am not even sure if this is yes or no. This can be either. And again, very much to what we had in the readings, lots of things in this particular upcoming time will be depending on how do we position ourselves toward this question, what kind of energy we give out. So I would here work on your own energy in order to kind of like see what happens, in order to kind of clarify this better. Sometimes we want what we want, and things don't happen and we end up being happy. Or sometimes we want what we want, we get it and we are very unhappy. So be very, really careful about that. So now, beware what you wish for, you might get it, kind of a thing, right, as they say. Alrighty, and of course I didn't put stamp for it, but I'll just guess it here. Okay, so let's go next. The next one is Cancer. Cancer. Oh my gosh, water signs really, really wanted to go forward in this biblical period. So, no, wait a minute. What am I talking about? Cancer went first. So, so confused. That's so typical for Aquarius. So Cancers, I guess, happy birthday again. Aquarius. So that's almost like a universe telling me, okay, Miss Aquarius, what's going up? Did you get enough sleep? I actually got lots of sleep, but when I look at my Fitbit, I don't know if you know Fitbit has, and that's main reason why I like it. Um, it shows you the quality of your sleep, so you can see how much of a deep sleep you had, which kind of correlates with the rest. I had no deep sleep, so that means I'm really, really tired. So let's see, Aquarians. What's going on here? What's going on? Okay. Okay. So how is everybody doing, guys? How are you doing with all of this pandemic? I mean, in Toronto, we are still basically locked up. Now patios are open, but you cannot go out because it's so hot. And yeah, it's kind of like really weird altogether. But it just almost like looks like we are used to this new way of living. So there is also ceremony, interesting enough, like it was a Scorpio and now it's Aquarius, both kind of like having big ambitious kind of like thing. We want much more than kind of like what it looks on the surface. There is like really need, almost like directive, that we have to go into that next level, that we really have to connect further, because look at this, 1 and 9 is 10. There is like a new process happening. It tells me that Aquarians are going to be very, very nervous. There's like something new happening, something that we like, something that we actually love. And we are going to feel comfort. 9 of Pentacles to me always speaks about the greatest comfort. It's kind of weird. I would say that some Aquarians would possibly start a new relationship, or it's going to be some kind of flirtation, or something is going to be there. It's going to be very, very exciting. But at the same time, it's going to create fear. It's almost like you meet somebody, you chit chat, you have a really, really great time, but then you come home and you say, that means dating, kind of a thing, right? It's just like everybody else will be so happy, but you go, oh, I'm not so sure. That means, debating things, that means doing things, and almost like makes you wonder if you want it, because 9 of Pentacles talks about person who is very comfortable in their own skin, but also kind of like the person who possibly wants to be in a relationship of some sort, of something of a long-term kind of like, flavor. So I think ceremony will be really needed to redefine the goals, because the Knight of Swords is about those goals, is about kind of believing and trusting. But when it reverses, it could be a little bit of abrupt. So you might start something and something might abruptly finish. It can be fizzling out as quickly as it started. So the ceremony will be very important in order to kind of like pull all of that earth energies for this to kind of like turn around, because I really think in this particular case it's not so much like for Scorpio that wants to kind of like connect to the divine, but it's rather to help us to go in this direction. So again, go in the nature, meditate, understand these nature elements, understand they're coming in kind of like focus together. So you're like in that kind of like eye of the hurricane, and you will be understanding kind of like that vortex of life that is really happening around that. And this is kind of like really needed to kind of like get greater clarity in order for you to make quality decisions, let's put it this way. So surrender, yeah. This is not a time for us to actively say what we want. It's rather for us to be on the receiving end and listen everything that comes forward. So when a surrender also comes, it also kind of like you have to submit yourself to the will of the other party. In this case it's the nature, in this case is the urges. You need to kind of like understand this intuition is really, really important, which we Aquarians sometimes really, not sometimes, most of the time we just override that. No, this is a logical decision, I need to do that. I have to tell you, because I'm coaching people as well, sometimes we look in the cards to see how this coaching really looks like, and sometimes what I think logically, and for example, I would say let's say, situation. You don't really want to get yourself involved when somebody's still, in an unfinished emotional situation. But sometimes tarot would say differently, because that means there's like something about you, something about your karma that you still really need to work on. So here, guys, do not make big waves. Instead, connect. Instead, listen to what the nature, what the intuition tells you, and the goals will become apparent. The goals, what you need to do and how you need to move, will become apparent. So do not break up with anybody. Just move smoothly. Allow this whole process to take place. Allow heart to grow versus, you feeling, discomfort because of the thoughts that are coming through. So don't allow the programming from the past to really mess certain things up. All right? All right. So let's see who is next. The next one is Libra. Libra. So let's see what the sign that wants to be in balance is going to have this time around. So Libra, this one coming out, it's lighting, it's power. That is actually enormous power, enormous energy that is really happening. We had lightning last night, and we had tornado in, actually it's very short-lived tornado, luckily, that passed by really closely to my building. You should see the trees. So you can tell there is global weather change or something like that is happening in Toronto. There were trees literally on the path cracking in half. And then luckily Lake Ontario pulled it away and it was done. It lasted half an hour, I think, and half an hour traveled. So it was not a big distraction. But we didn't have electricity this whole freaking evening. So Libra, let's see. You have Three of Wands reversed. You have a King of Pentacles reversed. You have Eight of Cups reversed. And then you have Death. So what is happening here? Have you, quote unquote, died, guys, here? And now it's kind of time to kind of put some life in you, because that's how it looks to me, right? This is what you give, this electrical impulse to somebody who you're trying to revive, right? So lighting is enormous freaking power, right? But we see power all around us, mountains, whatever, clouds, right? Every expression of nature. But this is kind of very dramatic when it comes to this, right? It's kind of electrifies the air, and kind of you can see the whole nature is submitting itself to it, right? What is really important about lighting is that kind of sharpens our senses, right? It also triggers sometimes fear, but sometimes triggers excitement. So that power of kind of that regeneration is now available to you, right? It's kind of really interesting. It's talking about possibly something about the past, because the King of Pentacles can talk about solid partners, but can talk about somebody who have let you down. I feel that maybe somebody from the past might be coming back. Maybe certain things can be revived over here, because the Eight of Cups is, look, Kitty is coming out. It's the night prowl. It's kind of checking out what's happening, right? But it's reversed. Kitty Cat is coming back home. Something is coming back. Something is now making more sense, right? Somebody who maybe had power over you is now realizing that maybe you have been mistreated, right? So it's going to be awareness that is needed on your end. It's also intention, right? What are your really values? And it's non-compromising them is going to be very important. And maybe this is why something kind of shed away. Whenever the Death card shows up, it's kind of really interesting, because it's kind of cutting down something. It's cutting down something that didn't really work, that is not productive for our future, or that cannot happen anymore. And there's a new process that is happening. For you, there is enormous energy that will be happening. Maybe, somebody really you want it out of your life. Maybe somebody's insisting to be back. Maybe somebody's insisting to have something higher. Or maybe you kind of didn't want to allow people to kind of like seep through, and you had this comfort zone, right? But giving it to a Libra, you're always trying to be in balance and putting things all here together, right? It is really all about the comfort of connection, of the choices. So you're going to have this enormous power. So you shouldn't fret that somebody coming back is going to mess up your life, because you're having ability to transform. Maybe it's a earth sign, maybe it's a Scorpio. Kind of like that's what can see. See, did I not tell you? Love. So guys, open up. Maybe certain things that you don't believe in, that you don't think it will happen to you, you just need to kind of like put this enormous energy, because this 2 weeks, upcoming weeks for you, can really open the new doors, and can really open the doors for somebody who has been there in the past. So just keep that in mind. Really, really good. So that was the Libra and Gemini. They have the love. So air signs are going to start, and that kind of makes sense. Air signs are usually the most bubbly, the most willing to take risk, and then fire signs. So it makes sense that, you know, things are going to start working out. So I'm so glad to see that, guys, Libra, for you. Oh, Chris, that's why you like your Fitbit too, right? I know this is the only thing that I do. I'm not that active, which I should be more active, but it's just an enormous feature that has it. So let's do it here. Who is the next one? Virgo. 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 Oh my gosh, how am I supposed to... I'm doing it really quick today. This is actually not bad. And I guess you can hear that I'm all kind of clogged and stuff. So this allergy is really bad. Didn't have it in years this bad. So Virgo, let's see, what do we get here for you? What do we get here for you? We have dawn, new beginnings. That's actually lovely. I have been seeing dawn last week twice because I couldn't sleep properly. I think this whole heat is messing up with me. So it was actually really lovely. It's very, very dark, and then it's very, very light. It's, I don't know when was the last time you guys saw it, but we will see. Fern, I don't know if you noticed, but I kind of like pull the cards, pull the little kind of like chips out, and so it's very random. But like we have 1, 2, and this is Virgo. We have one. We have few left, so it's going to be coming in the next 10 minutes for sure. So we have 3 of Pentacles. We have 5 of Wands. New beginnings. It was something that you have been trying to make it work, and you couldn't maybe get enough enthusiasm, you couldn't get will of the people to do it. Maybe it was needed to really even go into kind of arguing in order for things to happen. 5 of Wands, it's a really interesting card in this particular deck. Usually it really talks about boundaries. Usually it talks about you need to kind of like understand both how to not allow people to go too far, but also that you don't go yourself too far. So it kind of goes both ways. Where here, it's more or less some kind of like arguing of the cats over something where, you know, maybe the new youngsters are learning this process, maybe not by best example, while the little mouse that has been trapped is now clearly going to just run away. So sometimes like arguing basically takes us like, I mean, our eyes not on a goal anymore. Right, Sapphie? Do you love Virgos? Really? You just don't like Capricorns? Really? Still? What did they do to you? Did you meet some Capricorn that messed with you or something? Huh? Really? Really? Sorry, I have this very insistent kitty cat over here. So, Dawn. Why did you get Dawn? Why did you get this like new beginning? Look at how lovely this card really is. So we see this like start of the day, and clearly this really talks about new opportunities, no matter what has been here before. So I really think that this dawn is really opening up a new chapter on something. Maybe that something was about commitment, and since you're a very pragmatic sign, maybe you kind of like had in your head how this commitment has to happen, right? So this is kind of like this first light that we see in this card is kind of like the sun's appearance, right? And it's talking about, come on, you go down, you go down. Yes, thank you. It's kind of like talking about another day, another morning. It's fresh beginning. So it is kind of like talking about that for you, you're going to go from complete darkness to a complete light. That something really new is starting, and something for you is starting with a big bang. It was like one step that somehow just didn't happen. And it's going to be really clear to you that it's kind of like different. It's going to be all different. You're going to start seeing things different. Maybe you have been going through this Mercury retrograde. It was really, really messing you up, because all of a sudden there's a freshness, there's like first glimmer, and kind of like the sun is showing, right? And you all of a sudden you're going to see that all of these disputes and disagreements and everything, it just doesn't make any sense. That you need to go back, put your eye on a goal, right? So this is the time for you to kind of like say goodbye to the old and honor the new, and any constraints that maybe you had, that you imposed on yourself, or resistance that you kind of had, now need to go, right? So this is basically your chance to develop whatever you've been thinking about, that relationship, the project, you know, embark on adventure that you kind of like always dreamed on. It is time for you guys to take risks, right? So these prospects are going to be visible. They're going to become real. And the more you start seeing that, then all these insecurities will kind of like possibly arise as well. But you need to stay assured that eventually this dawn turns in a day, right? So you need to kind of have that inner guidance, and you need to know that you will succeed. That's why this like 10 of Cups is showing up here. There is like going to be feeling of rewarded effort. There's going to be feeling that you're finally where you need to be. So there's going to be quote unquote success. So let's see what angel card you also get over here. I mean, this is really lovely. So you also have you need to really trust your intuition. Look at this understanding. Maybe you're going to have even tete-a-tete, head-to-head, kind of a conversation with someone where you're going to realize why you are kind of like butting heads, right? Why are certain things happening? Why certain things haven't been possible to happen? And maybe the solution is going to be much easier than you anticipated. So it's going to be really interesting. So from that kind of like point, you're kind of like sailing into comfort zone, sailing into process that feels emotionally connected, it feels emotionally rewarded, and it feels like a completely new beginning. So if you guys had rough time, if you guys have been, you know, battling with somebody or fretting if certain things are not going to work out, some of you maybe even broke up, you didn't feel things are working, things are meshing, especially for those of you who have, mesh families, could have been issues with children. It's going to start feeling comfortable. It's going to start feeling, okay, finally the shoe is not creating me blisters. Finally it works, and it feels really, really good. So I would sing, but if I sing, then all of you would just disappear, so I just cannot do that. So we have 3 more left. 3 more left. And let's see. Let's grab one. And this one is Aries. So Aries. So let's see what Aries has for this upcoming thing. Aries. Oops, this one wants to come out. Fuck. But it's veiled, and it's sunshine that we see over here. Whenever I see this card, I always remember that one time I was like, I don't know how old I was, between 18 and 20, and I had 2 girlfriends. So I'm a brunette, and my girlfriend Marina is a redhead, and my girlfriend Goga is blonde. So we jump in a taxi, and we were going to this castle that had this disco in there, right? And some guys were flirting with us from every red light to the next red light, and then they started following us. They didn't realize that we are going very, very far. So when we got to this castle, it was so much fun because we have already built some kind of like joking and relationship. But the whole point was that we couldn't see really. They had to really trust that they are heading somewhere because the fog was so thick as we move out of the city where you didn't see all these lights, and because this place was a little bit outside of the city, it was the fog. So I'm just wondering what was going through their head following us through all this thick fog. So it really shows that in fog you simply just need to have one thing ahead. So they had us as their light, right, going kind of like ahead, and that's kind of like all they had in mind. So that's always what they see. So you see this death, whoa, death and oh my goodness, guys. Now this is biggie. So there is going to be something I feel for you that it's coming to the final stages. So sure, it's something is still hidden. That's why you have this card fog. It's veiled, right? But at the same time, there's like something that needs to be disconnected. You have death, you have temperance, and you have the moon. So when you get major arcana, it's always telling you that certain things will change. But you got 3 major arcanas, right? So that means there's like something karmic happening for you in the next 2 weeks. Maybe you have been enmeshed in this confusion and uncertainty. Maybe you have been unsure if certain things are going to come up, but that's the first card that is showing up is death. You are not looking in the past, guys. You are actually right now looking in the future, and you need to allow yourself to feel confused, because if you don't allow yourself, you'll be making wrong decisions, right? So in fact, you're going to be even more confused and even more tangled up. But if you say to yourself, you know what, I am actually deciding to be confused, and no matter what basically happens, I shouldn't be making big decisions. I should just make this one step, because that's why you have the temperance. Empress always guarantees that things are going to come in balance. Things just need patience. You just need to get through it. There is a reason. It's almost like a birth process that is really happening, because the moon is like pre-birth card. It's kind of like past lives, pre-birth. There's like something new really happening, you know. Just don't allow any impatience or frustration to kind of like come to the surface, because you'll be just risking creating more confusion, more uncertainty. So it's kind of like you need to be still, you need to be patient, right? It's really, really important, because the veil will lift and you will see the choices before you clearly, and then you're going to be able to align yourself with whatever you want. Because temperance is also about the things that are working in the background for you. Certain things you already placed on the universe, and that's why death card is showing up. You are making a good decision. You are already in the process. It's already happening. You're not seeing it, but it's happening. Just think about it. You are in some kind of like secluded place where somebody is working on your behalf, and things are going to culminate by the end of this process, and there's like something new happening. But the start is not going to happen in this period of this 2 weeks. It's going to happen later, but the moon is clearly telling you that by turning inside, by trusting yourself, you'll be actually gaining some new dimension. There is going to be something, some ideas, something is going to come to you, right? It's also very similar to fog. It's kind of lack of clarity. Moon can kind of deceive us. It could be jealousy. Maybe you're wondering about some relationship. Maybe you're dealing with Pisces, Sagittarius, or Scorpio, which can indicate over here. But this is really telling you you are on the right path. Everything is happening. Universe is creating certain things for you. You just need to continue trusting. Just take one step at a time. So let me grab one of these angel cards. My little furry butt is here. And you got 2 angel cards. One is forgiveness. Another one is courage. And I think that really goes really well with this. Courage is kind of jumping into it. And forgiveness is possibly even forgiving yourself, that maybe you feel a certain reaction or action of some sort. Sapphie is giving us an eye. Was maybe inadequate, and this is kind of like what is creating this confusion. Maybe you feel that you're not worthy, you're not deserving, or you're feeling that somebody else is not worthy or deserving. In any case, as I said, do not make these big decisions. Courage for you will be going through this process. So just keep going, guys. And do not make big waves, because everything is already happening for you. So it's all pretty cool over here. All right. So we have Oh, we did have a Scorpio, I just didn't put a timestamp on it. Okay, so we have Leo or Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is coming through, so I guess Fern was like really eager and waiting to see that. So let me put a stamp here. Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Clouds, shape shifting. Are you guys changing your image over here? Are you going to be testing what you say and what comes back? It's going to be something where you're going to be allowing yourself to be really back in your element. That is going to be so freaking cool. So it's really interesting card, because clouds can be heavy, can be very light, can be very enthusiastic, right? So let's see where this takes us. You have Four of Swords reversed. You're tired of inactivity. There's like something about you that kind of like you feel that maybe you have been sleeping on a switch, right, of some sort. And then you have the World card, and then you have Ace of Swords, Karmic card. You have two Karma card, guys. It's a biggie. So there is like something over here that you have been doing over and over the same thing, and you knew that you cannot push things forward. You knew that you cannot make things work, but you have been still kind of like going in this kind of like repetition, right? So it's kind of like really interesting, because I really feel that you feel overall, and this is really good, because you kind of like timed it properly. Just like don't do it before Tuesday, but you will go through some kind of like dramatic change, whether this is going to be your change, change of hairstyle or clothing. But I would also think that it's going to be the change of mannerisms and how you communicate, adjusting, your internal attitude, kind of a thing. So you are going to be displaying different personalities. So it's almost like somebody push the button and walk you up, right? So it's going to be quite a bit of about self-expression. It's going to quite a bit, the world is meaning like you reach that final stage. Something has been accomplished, and now it's a new phase that you really need to go through that. So it's going to be kind of like contrasting to what it was. So it's almost like you're an actor, and you said, okay, I finished with this role, and I'm going to have completely different kind of like things and kind of like deal with differently, because you guys really need that innate change, right? So it's also very important to feel confident, right, over here. So stretching the limits and willing to move, because if this is showing up, it means that you didn't have it, or you felt very constrained, right? So there is your energy field that is going to be expanding like quite far, right? So by this kind of like shape shifting, you can kind of like choose this like new expression in the world. The World card, it also talks about accomplishments. So I don't know, what you set your eyes on. Did you set your eyes on a new job, new partner, new development? That's going to be happening over here. So that is really positive thing, right? So also you might be dealing with fixed signs, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And there's like some element of telling the truth. This is also victory. Both cards are really victory. It's true. It could be also about the communication. Maybe you had a silence and now you're reviving. You're kind of communicating. You're talking. But the Ace of Swords is kind of like this enormous energy. It's kind of like, no, it's time to wake up. It's time to get up. It's time to kind of like do things. So you'll feel very active. You'll feel very progressive. You will feel that you really kind of like want to go in the new direction. Respect. I think this is really self-respect over here, and it's kind of like you felt maybe that somebody that you were the candle that kind of like didn't have light anymore, and you're saying, whatever is left, I have to use it, I have to live it, I have to enjoy it. So it's going to be enormous energy that will be emanating from you guys. So it's going to be total fun to watch you this next 2 weeks. I would just say that you'll be spending this weekend, and trust me, this is going to be the last weekend in the next 2 weeks, in a while actually, I would say, because the World card you got. that you're going to feel, this is the same old, things are going to change dramatically, and you will be the one who will instigate the change. And we know this is a Leo right now that is left behind. So Leo, you're the last, but there is a reason usually why somebody comes last, because it means, like the energy is so clear and energy has to happen. So let's see. Leo. It was like 11919, so it was all about this new beginnings. It's almost like 111. You're welcome, Royal Saggy. It's going to be so much fun to have you. So as you can tell, guys, they're like, when is the full moon? Did we not just have full moon? Yeah, I think so. So it was the second, I believe, and then 2 and 14. That's going to be new moon. So there is like something that is culminating, because you have both new moon and full moon, right? Oh, there is like a Milky Way too. Holy moly, these are big messages. Perspective, Milky Way perspective, music harmony, new moon promise, and full moon completion. This one wants to come out, and this is Chariot, and Chariot is Cancer, which is also ruled with moon. Let me think through it. These are so many messages over here, guys. So you have 10 of Wands reversed. You have 5 of Cups. You have King of Wands, which may be you. You have 2 of Wands. You have 8 of Cups. 9 of Cups. And I don't know if this all fits on the table. So let's separate them like this, so you can see them. Again, this is almost like a monthly reading, which means you're going to have really, really intense, and this one was first, I believe. So we'll do it this way. Let me see what there is like something new that is happening, but it's something new that is happening is going to go through one more cycle of kind of pulling you back. It's almost like you feel that you want to start and you want to kind of like spread your wings, but that start is really, really difficult for you. Like there's like something, or somebody things just like went back to nothing, right? Milky Way's perspective is just basically saying, look, all our problems, everything else is really nothing in this like big scheme of things, right? Just think about, a lot of people have bigger problems that, like it's basically a storm in a teacup, kind of like that, kind of like it's happening. So it is calling you for music and harmony. It's calling you for expression. It's calling for getting it out of your system, kind of like pulling yourself above. We just see it here, like you are kind of like able to reach some realization of something. Maybe it was really hard for you to let something go, even though you were fully aware that something is not workable, not doable, and that's kind of like showing here. There is like also a feeling that there is a standstill with somebody, and that somebody could be Cancer, kind of in their element, or have Cancer very strongly in their chart, right? But having said that, I think that you're going to be feeling that it's not so much ritual as it showed for the other fixed signs. For you, it's more or less with expression. So music to me, it's also creativity. Music is also mimicking the nature and creating something kind of like extra out of it, right? That needs to happen. I mean, new moon, full moon is just like simply the processes that are happening along the way, right? But here, like, I mean, what you're getting is to engage your body. So which tells me that your body probably has contained some kind of stress, and that you need to kind of like release certain things. You need to evoke these feelings of harmony, right? And then harmony cannot happen until kind of like there are certain burdens on your shoulders that needs to get off. Whether you need to talk it out with somebody, or, as I said, there's like a physical expression over here. So for you, doing something physical which kind of like stimulates your mind, stimulates your soul, it's going to kind of like create something. It's going to create ability to start planning again, right? And that's why you have this King of Wands. There's like somebody new showing up that is going to intrigue you. This could be you kind of heading out and feeling strong and going in this direction. Yes, you're going to go back and forth. I can see, hey, I'm venturing out. I'm trying to see. You're again flirting. You're flirting with kind of having a big idea in mind. But at the same time, and that's why it's going to be really important for you that the next full moon, which I think is exactly the end of the month, could be 30th or 31st. I need to check it out, right? That you really need to let go. There's like still some kind of like pain that you're experiencing. There's like still some kind of pain connecting to something. Even though I'm feeling that you are reaching this perspective, everything is okay. You still have triggers, and that's what we call baggage, right? That certain things and certain words and certain kind of activities kind of remind us of something that has been, and that sometimes blocks us, or sometimes that simply derail us. And this derailment over here needs to be let go. You need to kind of like put things in perspective in this big scheme of things. Would this ever work? How did you plan it? How did you want to go for it? Because this is really telling me that something is moving forward. You guys might be dealing with another water sign, or with another with another fire sign, or with water sign that can be happening. There's like some element of thinking process that is coming to an end, and that full moon ritual is going to be extremely important for you this time around. So don't forget, I have a full, you just have to go on my channel and just search my channel, full moon meditation. It's going to be very, very important for you to shed any leftovers of something in order for you to actually get into this process, in order to kind of like gain this, Four of Wands, like this celebration is going in this new level. You're gaining your power, and this is really interesting because strength and power, this is your card. This is like you're coming to yourself. Well, I guess it makes sense. It's almost like a build up to your birthday, and you're going to feel extremely powerful just before your birthday. Just at the very end of this period, you're going to feel like you're dipping down. You're going to feel, oh my God, everything was going well, and now it's going to be a very temporary dip in fortunes, but it's going to be very, very quick. It's not going to last very long. So prepare for the 23rd, or 24th, which is the beginning of Leo. You might feel like almost like the day is absorbed with thinking and kind of like mulling over the wrongs. But it's going to be, I would say, no more than a day, or even less than a day, maybe 10 hours. It could be waking hours of some sort. You can also have some kind of nightmares that day. But just if you remember this is just kind of like a part of letting things go and moving in a direction, and that's going to be the most important thing to go. So you guys simply need to go in the release and planning. Certain new processes are coming toward you, so you'll have possibly 1 or 2 flirtations happening. So it's just like really that you need to really think about how to process this. That you look at the butterfly, Sapphie. The butterfly's outside, but you don't see it because your little furry butt is toward it. All right, so Leo, just understand that if you're walking away from somebody, this is meant to be. If somebody's coming back in your life, it's meant to be. Just kind of like deal with this, because there is like some energy that maybe needs to be addressed, maybe put to rest. But having the eye on the goal is going to flirtation, because look at this, it's crying over spilled milk. But it's telling you not to do that. It's telling you to go in a new direction. So just kind of like don't allow your moodiness to come through, because it's going to simply kind of kill the good thing. You are like in a process of something really, really good happening. So let's do this. We are going to do the second one of your questions. So let me just cover this over here and take a different deck. Lenormand is kind of like much easier for me to kind of like deal with when it's a little bit more cards, so that kind of like perspective is easier, because yes or no questions, believe it or not, are a little bit hard for me. That's why I always tell people to take bigger readings, because then I can check and double check and triple check, so that way it's really important to see that. All right, So ask your question. Ask your question. Okay, draw your first card for the door on the left. Door number 1. This is for door number 2. And this is for door number 3. Alright, so let me remove this. Alright guys, so who was thinking about the door number 1? The answer is yes. Queen of Swords talks about putting your foot down. Something needs to happen. Sometimes we are afraid of putting our foot down because we think, you know, somebody is going to just pull the rug under our feet. Things are not going to happen. But this time, you know, we'll feel that no matter what happens, it's kind of like good that it happens. So if somebody even says yes, we're going to feel comfortable because it's going to be this feeling, okay, so finally it's over, it's done with. But I really think it's going to be a really positive outcome over here. The door number 2 is 10 of Pentacles. So 10 of Pentacles talks about, you know, things are falling in place. Things are making sense. It can talk about inheritance. It can talk about getting a job. It can talk about where you live. It can talk about your parents, about your grandparents, about your children, about your pets. It's talking about energy that is feeling comfortable. It is feeling that you're on the right path. It's kind of like one of those meals that you sit, Thanksgiving kind of a thing, kind of feeling. So the answer is clearly yes. And the door number 3 is 4 of Cups reversed. Well, this card always talks about certain kind of like issues are sometimes creating boredom, and that boredom is basically when we don't have clear direction. We're trying to be more stable, we're trying to have better understanding, but it almost looks like that we feel here that we don't have a control about the situation. Unfortunately, this is going to continue. It might be only up to us if we decide to move away. So it can be a conscious decision to do it because it came reversed. Or if you continue to hope this, that might not happen during this 2 weeks period. So that's unfortunate. Well, Rum, if you go down to 1 hour exactly, that's when we read Virgo, so you can see it there. And guys, this is bringing us to the end of our readings. This was like so amazing to see you. One of my coaching clients suggested to have bi-weeklies for the summer, so that way I can have alternate weekends for myself as well. And I'll selfishly kind of like thought this is a great idea, so I'm going to do that, and hopefully that really works with you as well. So the next meeting we are going to have is going to be in the Leo season. It's going to be on the 25th. And in the meantime, guys, if you want reading from me or something, now I'm open up and working. I'm actually right now not busy because I managed to clear a whole bunch of things before I'm done, but you know, would like to hear from you. So until the next time, guys, I'm going to play something really nice over here. I love you, and I'll see you on the 25th. All the best, guys. Thanks for being here.